What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Welcome back to another match preview show. We've been waiting for this one for 2 whole weeks. International break is a distant memory now. We can focus on Ange Ball once again, and I, for one, are very much looking forward to this game. Obviously, we play Sheffield United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 3 p.m. kickoff tomorrow. And for all our Jewish viewers watching, would like to wish them a very happy New Year, Shana Tova. But and Manor Solomon as well, by the way. We're going to wish him one as well. So, look, how are you feeling coming into this game?
Look, one more sleep to Ange Ball is back. I can't wait, to be honest, because the international break, I've been watching the football and it's just not the same. It's not as exciting. Ange Ball is so elite compared to like Southgate Ball. Like, honestly, I couldn't get away from that quicker, to be honest. So I'm very excited to see Tottenham back. Judging by what Ange is saying, it looks like we've come away unscathed as well. Pretty unscathed. In terms
Had a few scares, didn't we?
Had more than a few. So I think literally I've been like crossing everything I can find to make sure that we didn't get any injuries during the international break, and it seems to have worked.
You know, during that Argentina game, when those images came out of Romero's ankle being stamped on, I was literally just refreshing Flash Score, just constantly. Just, has he been taken off? Has it been taken off? Maybe Flash Score is not up to date. Maybe I should check another. I was like going absolutely mad that night. But luckily, he's been in training. He's fit for the game. But there's actually some interesting comments from Ange in the press conference today regarding players like Alejo Veliz. He's saying he's ready for selection now. He's been training only one training. He's only trained with the team once, and he's already available for selection. It's quite surprising.
Well, I think he was recovering from an injury, and so that's what. So maybe when Ange said, you know, he's not going to be available for a little while before the international break, maybe he was. I think people assumed he meant, oh, he's going to have to adjust to life in London and he's going to have to integrate into the team and stuff like that. But maybe he just meant, you know, he maybe wasn't clear. Maybe he just meant he got an injury.
But he literally said you won't see him for the first half of the season.
Was he that specific? I can't remember exactly.
He literally said it, like, you won't see him for the first part of the season, but now he's saying he's available for selection. So it's very interesting.
Well, he hadn't seen him yet because he had an injury as well. So, you know, he's assuming a 19-year-old kid coming from a foreign country who's injured as well at the moment. So he didn't maybe want to put too much pressure on the situation. So I think, which is fair. But now he's fit and available. He had a training session with the team. Maybe, I don't think it's a case. I don't think we'll see him starting anytime soon. But it'll be interesting to see if he makes the bench on Saturday.
You know what, though? What value he could have in this game specifically, because we know how Sheffield United are going to set up against us. Very low block. They're very hard to score against, as you've seen so far in their games, which we'll get into in a second. But they haven't lost by more than 1 goal. And they've played the champions in Man City as well, which is fairly impressive for a new team coming up. And you would think, like, if we are struggling for goals towards the end of the game, 15, 20 minutes to go, with his aerial ability to whip crosses into him, he could be quite valuable for us this weekend.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I think he'll probably be more of like a Hail Mary kind of last 10 minutes we need to go kind of thing. I still think Richarlison comes on before he does. But I agree with you with their low block, with how they like to clog up the central areas, especially against Man City. I was looking at average position and they had like about 8 players in and around the penalty area, and that's just in their average position. They had like 1 player who average position was in the City half throughout the game. So they're going to be very defensive. They're going to be very solid. It's going to be very hard to break down. And he's a big lad, Veliz, especially for a young player. So I think his aerial ability could definitely be something that we could use in this game if need be. But I think when it comes to this game, I think Man City saw that even if it's 1-0 going late into the game, they can be dangerous because they know they're probably going to go for it last 10 minutes if they're still in the game. So I think it's very important to try and get this game out of sight as quickly as possible.
Yeah, totally agree, which will be a very hard task to do, seeing as they don't really concede that many goals. And if you look at the form table of the two clubs, obviously Spurs leading the way there, and Sheffield United picked up a draw last time out, but have lost every other game apart from that. They've conceded 7 goals in their last 5 games. I think that's including 1 pre-season game. How many have they conceded in the league, though? Because I know they've only lost by 1 goal in each of the games that they have lost.
7 goals in their first 4 games. So not terrible.
Okay, fine.
So 2 against Everton, 2 against City, 2 against Forest, and 1 against Palace.
Right. Have they lost every game or did they draw a game?
They drew their last game to Everton 2-2.
Yeah. So, I mean, with Spurs, looking at Spurs, I mean, we're just scoring for fun at the moment, scoring a lot of goals. Not many other managers have come in and scored 2 goals per game as a completely new job in the Premier League. But you got to commend the job that Ange Postecoglou's doing. You got player of the month, manager of the month off the back of that. Maddison's got player of the month as well. But don't take this for granted, because it's going to be a very difficult game, and I feel like we're going to struggle to break them down, to be honest. And you cast your mind back to the other game that we played against a low block. I think this game is going to be very much a different low block to the one that we played against Brentford, and I think this team is going to be probably sit even deeper than maybe what Brentford did. But how do you see us kind of being able to break this team down? Yeah,
I'm looking at Sheffield United's previous performances, and I was trying to piece together how kind of like their average positions, how they're going to set up. And it's definitely a 3-5-2 formation they like to play over the first 4 games. They like to play their wing-back system. Obviously, under Chris Wilder, they used to like to do that overlapping centre-backs, but I don't think they have that element really to their game at the moment. But they like to play 3 very hard-working defensive midfielders in the centre. And then against Everton, they had Archer and McBurney, which is the first time they had that pairing together up front, and big and little man. Bit of a throwback, that strike partnership. But I'm looking at the wide areas, and they definitely don't like to have too many players out wide. They definitely focus very heavily on the central area, making sure we can't play through them. And that's going to be very crucial if we're going to basically break them down. I think it's going to have to be isolating them out wide, because we know that Spurs are going to have the inverted fullbacks problem in this game to maintain control of the central area, and I think that's probably the best way to go about it, even though that Sheffield United might plan for that. I think we have to rely on our wingers having a lot of joy in their one-on-one duels out wide. And if we can do that, I think that's going to be our best route to getting close to the Sheffield United penalty area and creating chances. And we have to flood the penalty area when we get those opportunities. But they have, obviously, with the 3 centre-backs, they do as well have opportunities to help out their full-backs, their wing-backs, with their centre-backs coming over while still maintaining numbers in the centre. So it's not going to be a foregone conclusion, but it's going to be very, very difficult for us to break them down, because they got the numbers in the centre. Out wide, they're going to have, if we allow them the opportunity, if we don't move it quick enough, we're going to allow them opportunities to get the numbers out wide as well with their centre-back. So it's going to be about penning them in. It's going to be about winning our one-on-one duels out wide. And then it's going to be somehow Maddison picking up some sort of space in and around the penalty area if possible. And maybe maybe Son and Maddison have to rely on their ability to shoot from range to maybe breaking the deadlock, because as long as the game is 1 goal in it, they're going to basically keep doing what they're doing up until maybe the last 10 minutes. Then they're going to maybe have a go if they're still in the game. But once the game goes maybe 2-0, that's maybe where we might see things change for them. They might start to open up. But their game plan is going to be clear. Stay in the game up until the last 10-15 minutes. Give it a go and see if we can nick a result. Yeah, if we can get an early goal in this game in the first 10 minutes, it should give us the opportunities to open it up earlier than maybe anticipated from Sheffield United. I think it's going to need 2 early goals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you get 1 early goal, then the possibility of another one before the half is, much more likely. So I think if we do get an early goal, it'll give us the opportunity to keep pressing and get that second goal before half time. And then hopefully in that second half, the floodgates can really open with Sheffield United opening up more and coming at us. But I think that it's going to be, like I keep saying, I think it's going to be a really difficult game. They're really a well-organised team, and they defend well. They really do. So you're looking at the last 5 games. Do you know the last time Sheffield United won in N17?
In N17, no.
No.
Well, should I know?
No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Because the last time they won an N17 was in 1991. I hope I haven't given it the kiss of death here, but we do have a fairly good home record against these lot, albeit everyone's going to cast their mind back to last season when we went up there in the cup under Antonio Conte. Well, Conte was ill at the time, wasn't he? And Stellini took the game.
Pochettino's last ever game was against Sheffield United.
That's true as well.
Going 1-1.
Yeah.
And Baldock scored in that game, and he's probably going going to play in this game.
Well, the omens ain't good then. The omens ain't good. But I mean, last year was just an absolutely tragic game up at Bramall Lane, to be honest. And it's always a difficult time going to Bramall Lane, but at least we are at Tottenham this time, and I do expect us to get the win, but I expect it to be a very hard-fought victory. You're looking at Sheffield United team coming into this. They have got a lot of injuries. They've picked up quite a few on international break. Osborne, Egan, Brewster, Fleck, Lowe, and Davies all injured. Jebson and Larouci are doubts for the game. So there's a lot of injury problems for Sheffield United coming into it. When you're looking, well, to be fair though, like when we played Sheffield United last year, didn't we lose to their second team?
Yeah, exactly. so it didn't really make too much of a difference.
But in terms of what they offer Sheffield United on the pitch, there's Cameron Archer, who is like the obvious worry. Apart from him, like, is there anyone else that really worries you in that team?
Apart from Archer, I mean, he's look. I was really impressed with his debut against Everton. He's quite a quick, nippy little striker who actually got 11 goals in 20 games last season in the Championship. So
for Middlesbrough,
they spent 18 million on him in the summer. So he's looking like a great threat. And obviously, the 2 goals he scored against Everton, super impressive as well. But one thing I noticed was, especially the second goal, a lot of it was like individual kind of play. McBurney laid on the first one for him, but it was actually still a very good finish. The second one, he had to do a lot of the work himself, and a bit of luck because the ball bounced off Pickford on the way in. But he did really well. But if we can restrict Archer on the counter, I really don't see much when it comes to attacking threats from them. I think both their wing-backs are more defensive wing-backs than they are attacking. I think maybe if they come up against inferior teams, you'll see the likes of Baldock or Bogle or Luke Thomas get further forward. But in this game, I think they're very much going to be full-backs as opposed to wing-backs. So I do anticipate this being more of a back 5 than a 3-5-2. I see it more being a 5-3-2. So when it comes to their threats, I think set pieces, obviously, you just got to make sure you're not giving away any silly corners or any silly free kicks, giving them more encouragement. They're quite a physical team. But I think Archer's the main one. If you're not allowing Archer the possession on the counter-attack, I think we're going to be really stifling them. I'm seeing them not getting a lot of joy when it comes to having any sort of possession. I think our pressing game will make it very difficult for them to maintain possession. And I just think we've got to watch out for Archer because he's got pace. I don't think McBurney is a massive threat unless you allow them to swing kind of crosses into the box and leave him unchallenged. I think you can deal with McBurney, but I think Archer's a tricky customer. Yeah, Norwood's a decent midfielder, good passing range, but he's not a goal scoring threat. Sander Berge was a good player, but they've sold him. Obviously, they lost in Dye as well.
It's a weird one, wasn't it, that they sold him to like a rival coming up from the Championship? I didn't understand that whatsoever.
Must have been desperate for money.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can think of, because 20 million they sold him for, who was probably their best centre mid last season.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he was linked to us at a point.
Good player, Sander Berge. He's not a goal scoring midfielder, but he's a good number 8, who's good kind of box to box midfielder, good technical player. So a bit of an odd one for them. They've sold him. So I don't really know too many of the players they've replaced him with. Souza or Hamer, I don't really know them too much.
Their goalkeeper's supposed to be fairly good. Fodringham. Yeah, he was playing for England under 21s this week. Okay, so he's got an opportunity to against a bit of a good club. I was liking the look of Larouci as well, but he's looking like he's injured. So yeah, I think there's a reason why they're one of the big favourites to go down. And to be fair, to their start of the season, they have kept things tight, and they've not been easy to play against. But the reality is they still lost 3 of the 4. Yeah. They haven't been getting the results. Even against Everton, they were quite lucky to be 2-1 up at half time. I felt, despite the fact Archer scored 2 good goals, I felt like they were Everton were very dominant in that first half. Second half, Everton definitely got back in the game, and to be fair to Sheffield United, right in the last minute, Pickford made a world-class double save, and Sheffield United could have won the game. But I think in terms of the balance of play over the 90 minutes, I think Everton will be the ones feeling more annoyed not taking 3 points. Yeah, especially as they've played teams that you probably expect are going to finish in the bottom half of the table in Palace, Nottingham Forest and Everton. And to only pick up 1 point is probably going to be a sense of frustration for them. But I mean, you can take kind of what they did in that Man City game and and probably assume that that's probably the way they're going to try and set up and try and stifle us in that sort of way. And Man City found it hard to break them down. Don't get me wrong, they found it hard, but
they still got an XG of 3.6. You know, it's not like they didn't have chances, and they missed that penalty in the first half, which would have given them the lead. They then did take the lead in the second half, made it 1-0. They had chances to kill the game off, didn't take them, allowed Sheffield United back in the game, and still, even though Sheffield United equalised with 5 minutes to go, they still couldn't hold on. They still weren't good enough to hold on for 5 minutes against City. So they didn't look. Don't get me wrong. Super impressive that they took City all the way to the 90th minute. But City, like in another day, City would have won that 3-0. Like it wasn't a game where I'm looking at it super impressed with how Sheffield United nearly got the point. But it shows that they can make things difficult.
Yeah, and it also shows that you need to be clinical when you're coming up against these teams that sit in a low block as well. Because, you know, on another day as well, you say Man City could have won 3-4-1 against Sheffield United that day, but also they didn't take their chances, and on another day they could have just drawn 1-1. They
could have, but my point is, like, even at 1-1, they still want
I get that.
To hold on.
Yeah, I get
so that shows fallibility. They had 5 big chances on the day, Man City, so the chances were clearly good quality. And I think even if you look at the other games against Palace, in terms of XG we're looking at, they had 0.5 to Palace 1.89. Against Forest away, 1.39 Forest had, 0.5 Sheffield United. Against City, 0.67 to 3.6 Man City. And against Everton, they had 1.19, but they conceded 2.59. So they've been out XG'd in every game, basically. So haven't, like, as much as they've made things difficult, I don't think they've really deserved a result in any of the games, to be honest, on the balance of play.
Fair play. And by the way, I did make a bit of a mistake. The goalkeeper is 32 years old, so he wasn't playing for England under 21s.
There you go. So I wonder who you're talking about. I think you're talking about Trafford from Burnley.
No,
maybe.
I'm not, because I'm just trying to work out who I was talking about. It must have been Monday, 11th of September. The goalkeeper was it was Trafford. Yeah, that was the guy I was thinking about, the Burnley keeper, not the Sheffield United keeper. But look, so I guess that's the match preview. What score prediction are you going for?
I'm going to go for... I said 3-0 on my preview. I'm going to stick to it. I think we have the quality. We're confident. I'm really confident about Spurs being able to pen Sheffield United in as well. This is their first proper tough away game as well. Sheffield United against City, they were at home. Obviously, they got the crowd on. They got the motivation from the crowd, and they nearly got themselves a result. But I think away from home, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to have that sort of performance. I think Tottenham being confident right now, I think I'm confident that we can create the good quality chances. We can finish them. The only big worry I have is, it's not, I guess, a big worry, but Son up front in this kind of game, I'm more intrigued how he's going to come up against it, because it's going to be a very different challenge to the Burnley game. I think Burnley played into his hands a lot more with their space they run in behind. They're going to press us and take risk, whereas Sheffield United is going to be very much, they're going to restrict us with space. They're going to make sure that Son doesn't have the space to run into. They're going to make sure that when he gets the ball, he's being hounded and he's not going to have ability to turn. So Son, I feel like, is going to have to come a lot deeper in this game and pick up the ball in deeper areas to get involved. Otherwise, I think he's not going to have that much involvement. So it's going to be interesting to see how he copes with this kind of game, and it's going to be a bit of a litmus test in terms of him against lower block teams, how he performs. So that's one element I'm thinking. Like,
do you not think this game is a bit more suited to Richarlison as the number 9?
But I would stick with Son just because of the dynamic of the game. But of how they played last week. But I do think, in theory, it's more suited to Richarlison.
And I would say, as well, on the right-hand side, when you're looking at the options between Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski, I do think this game is much more suited to Kulusevski in the way he likes to work a bit more in the tight spaces, where Brennan Johnson likes to have that space a bit more. So I would stick with Kulusevski, to be honest, in this game.
Yeah, we'll get into the pre-line later, but I think I wouldn't change it. But Brennan Johnson didn't speak about that. Could be seeing a debut this weekend for Brendan, which is
2 debuts that we could be seeing this weekend.
What, him and Valise?
Thinking? I don't think Valise is going to start, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do need a goal in the latter stages of the game, he comes on.
If we're talking about who's going to be on the bench, we know Lo Celso's not there. So who do we rate? Like, if we're saying an unchanged team, who's going to be on the bench? You've got Forster, Emerson, Phillips.
Do you think Dyer makes an appearance on the bench? I don't know. Ben Davis,
Perisic, Johnson, Skip, Højbjerg. That's already too many. So I don't see where the...
How many are you allowed on the bench?
Was it 7 or was it more?
I'm not sure. I think it's more, isn't it?
7?
Isn't it? I thought it was 9.
Is it 9 now? 9.
Yeah.
All right, 9 allowed on the bench.
You got
9.
Richarlison as well.
So Richarlison, Samora, that's 9.
So wait,
yeah.
Forster, Davis, Phillips, Perisic, Skip,
Emerson,
Richarlison, Johnson, and Valise.
No, 1 minute. Was that 9?
That's 9, yeah.
Højbjerg, Skip, Richarlison,
Højbjerg I didn't
Johnson.
say.
Højbjerg,
Højbjerg I didn't say.
Højbjerg. I think Højbjerg gets in ahead of him, so I don't know if he makes a squad.
Yeah, and all depends if what the situation with Richarlison is as well. We don't even know if he's going to be on the bench or not, but we assume that he will be.
Yeah, I think he'll be on the bench. No, I think he will. I don't think we leave him out of the squad unless he's like not unavailable for selection. I'm pretty sure we'd put him in the squad.
But look, you're going 3-0.
3-0.
I'm also going to go 3-0 as well. I'm kind of toying between 2-0 and 3-0. I think it's going to be difficult to break these lot down. But I think once we get that first goal, I do think that we can take them to the sword a little bit and start, really stamping our authority. So I'm going to stick with 3-0.
I think, remember, it's our second home game of the season. We haven't played at home yet. I think the crowd hopefully show a big say in terms of being supporting the players. And I think we got to make this place a fortress. And I think if we can show the football we've been playing in the first few weeks, even against a low block, I know they're going to make it difficult, but we have the quality to open them up. We really do, and I think we will. I think we will in the home game.
There's a stat. I can't remember what the actual stat is, but it's like Ange hasn't lost a home game in like God knows how long. Like I don't think he lost the home game for Celtic or something.
Yeah,
in his whole 2 years.
Yeah.
And then before that, with Yokohama, he went like a year or a year and a half without losing a home game before that.
Yeah.
So I think he knows how to make a home place a fortress. That's for sure.
I think it'll make it different. If it was away from home, I can see it being a bit more difficult. But I reckon being at home, we make it a comfortable victory.
All right, so there you have it. That is our match preview for the game against Sheffield United. I want to hear your score predictions in the comment section.